When this doctor speaks, people listen. He is simply one of the most popular radio talk show hosts in America, and he has the prescription for what ails us. The one and only Dr. Michael Savage joining us on San Diego Living. Dr. Savage, good to see you.
Thank you very much. It is truthfully a pleasure to be with you because I know San Diego is almost my hometown in terms of loyalty of audience.
Well, and in terms of your latest book here, Trickle Up Poverty, too, it really focuses in on some issues here in San Diego, namely our military and our borders. Talk to me about those two issues.
Right. When I say trickle up poverty, obviously it's the economy stupid kind of thing, right? We learned just this week that President Obama has added more to the national debt in the first 19 months than all presidents from Washington through Reagan combined. So you say, okay, we know that. What else is new? Well, let's talk about the military. I don't have to mention the border problem in San Diego. When you've got a federal government taking the side of a foreign power instead of the side of the American people, A, we're in trouble, and B, we don't know where to turn. But let's look at the military. I have a whole chapter on saving the military. What do I mean by saving the military? I say Obama is defunding the military. I also call for increasing the salaries of active combat troops. I don't hear that coming from any politicians out there. But perhaps the most controversial thing in here, Mark, is why are we in Afghanistan? You know, Mr. Conservative, you'd think I'd say go get him. Go get who? Our government won't even name the enemy, Mark. The guys don't know who the enemy is. And then when they do engage the enemy, if they do so a little too forcefully, they get a court-martial. Somebody's bothering me here, Mark. He knows he's on. Well, he wants to come up.
I think I know what you're referring to here. As I listened to your show yesterday, you were really wrestling with how to market this book, how to bring this book to the public, and you were thinking about two different approaches, the fire and brimstone approach, and then maybe just let Teddy sell it for you. Is Teddy with you?
I brought him. He's been in the studio. He's been hanging out eating yogurt parfaits, pizza, bagels. But I don't know if you're going to believe this. This is the first of all the shows I've done today where he's actually come up in my lap because he's dying to meet your audience, so here he is.
The one and only Teddy.
Here he is. And Teddy, the mascot of the Savage Nation, has one thing to say, okay? Don't roll over for Obama, and don't let America go to the dogs. I don't think that that's so unusual.
No, it's not. But I understand the problem that you were grappling with at the top of the show yesterday, because, again, you came on with fire and brimstone yesterday, and then you paused and you said, wait a second, maybe you don't want to hear this. Maybe you just, you know, like life to be wonderful and sweet and nice, and it's not that way.
Mark, you know that that's exactly what I face every day in the radio business. It's a very difficult thing to understand, which is how do people really want to hear your message. Sometimes you can get so impassioned, the women get scared, to be frank with you. The guys like the anger. They do. But I found out that a lot of women won't listen to a man who's angry. It's absolutely true. So if I do the softer approach, the Teddy approach, and I talk about the trickle-up poverty, which is real, but I come up with solutions, maybe I'll get people to read the book who normally wouldn't. And truthfully, Mark, it isn't about making me rich. This book was scheduled to be released just now, just before the election. I want to shape the outcome of the election. I'm praying that the people go to the polls informed. And I have an architectural plan. Let me talk about the economy, if I can, for a minute.
Sure.
China, tariffs on Chinese goods. Not one politician is calling for that. I call for tariffs on Chinese goods. Why? It's not a level playing field when they're paying $1 to $5 an hour and we're paying $15 to $50 an hour. How can you compete with that? It's okay to say I'm for free trade when it's truly free trade, but you can't compete when you're paying slave wages in China. The only way to stop them from decimating our industrial base any further is put tariffs on Chinese goods. America is the greatest manufacturing nation on earth. It can be restored. I'd like to see the factories rebuilt and the factories running again and put the American people to work. We can do it. Tariffs on Chinese goods is the first good step.
Now, the book is incredibly detailed in the amount of documentation and the amount of real knowledge that you put behind these opinions. But the basic premise is pretty simple, and that's that the middle class really is under attack. Trickle up poverty. The middle class is going to be impoverished before you can blink an eye if we continue on the same path.
That's who pays the bills. It's the middle class. The poor don't pay taxes, so they're not paying the bills. The rich have all sorts of tax schemes, by and large, not all. I'm not a poor man. I pay a lot of money in taxes. But we're talking about the people in the real power structure. They have ways of receiving money, through earnings, through their corporation, where they're paying 15%. I'm paying 50% state and local. So it's the middle class that's getting hammered and is shrinking. But, this is by design, Mark. People don't want to hear this. President Obama is a lifetime left-winger. He's a lifetime Marxist. I don't have to mince words. The guy has hung around in colleges all his life where the middle class, meaning the bourgeoisie, has been the enemy. Believe me, no matter what he says, his people and people around him have targeted the middle class. They're not helping the middle class, because if they were, I wouldn't be talking right now, because Obama would be more popular than ever. His own people have been jumping ship because they see that they're hitting an iceberg in a month from now. Why is the Democrat Party about to go down? It's because they've attacked the very source of the income for the whole United States of America, which is the middle class. We've got to turn it around. I have a 37-point program in trickle-up poverty. I can't give all the 37 points, nor would I expect you to want to hear them all. But those points are valid points, not only on economic issues, but also on social issues. The Republicans, in their plan 2 weeks ago, didn't mention one social issue. How can we be in a country without any social leadership?
Well, I'll tell you, folks need to go to their bookstore today. Trickle Up Poverty is out there today. They need to walk up to the counter and they need to say, I need a copy of Trickle Up Poverty. And they need to put their hand out and expect that the bookstore will have that on hand. Am I right?
If they don't, then somebody should get fired, because this book should be in every bookstore in America today. It's the last roll of the dice for me, and I hope it's not the last roll of the dice to save America.
Dr. Michael
Savage. I wrote this book. Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. And we'll hear you this afternoon at 3 o'clock on the radio right here in San Diego. Dr. Michael Savage.
We'll talk about Teddy.
Okay, way to go, Teddy. Trickle Up Poverty is the name of Dr. Savage's latest book.